Hello and welcome to the 6th installment of the IronCast. As always, I am your host, Colin Wilson, and alongside me is
Justin Kampf.
And we are here to educate you on all things fitness, as well as entertain you in all things everything. So, do we have anything we want to get to before we get to the meat and potatoes?
Do I have anything? Well, we just messed up on the intro for the first time in
And
like
the
three
first
episodes.
time.
Yeah.
We
did
actually
this
had
three
to
times.
restart, which is very not normal for
We're
us.
consummate professionals.
Exactly. There is nothing. We just ooze professionalism.
We don't mess
constantly.
up, ladies and gentlemen.
Never, ever, not once have
I
we
did
ever.
once and I never did it again.
No, same here. It was awful.
Speaking of messing up, programming. So that's what we'll cover most of the day today.
That's the topic of the day is programming. It's been widely requested by literally dozens of people. They need to know what we think of programming. And let me tell you, computer programming is tough.
But we're talking about like exercise.
Oh crap! I did a lot of.
You did the wrong research.
Yeah. I wasted a lot of time.
I mean, that's kind of like your forte.
That is my forte. Yeah.
I know a few things about programming. I know nothing about computer programming.
Like what?
What? About exercise programming?
No, computer programming.
Oh, I know nothing about that.
Okay, good. Now I feel better about myself.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, what do you know about exercise programming?
Exercise programming. Wow, where are we gonna start? Okay,
The arms.
Yeah.
Let's start with arms.
Obviously.
The most important thing first.
I'm actually gonna do a talk about this at Peak Performance in New York City at the end of the month.
Are you just gonna hit play on our podcast?
I think that I think that would be the easiest thing to do.
Just memorize everything you say here.
I'll lip talk it.
Lip talk.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
I'm not gonna do that.
You should. It'd be hilarious.
shouldn't.
I would get a kick out of it. Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
This is what I'm talking mostly about programming for strength training. That's kind of my forte. That's what I like doing. I like whenever someone smashes a PR on a program I wrote, it's like I did it. So it's great. But okay, let me backtrack a little bit. You need a program. People, you need a program. You need something.
I beg to differ, ladies and gentlemen. I think it depends on your goals.
Okay.
I think if you are an athlete, then yes, he is correct. He is correct.
It's correct.
I think
Chris
if you're-
Farley button.
Yeah, oh yes.
So
We
are you
need a
saying
MIDI
it?
controller?
Are you saying if you're like a Sorry, I'm playing with my keys. I don't know why. Are you saying if you're a recreational like weightlifter, like maybe you're not. Your goal is just to stay active. You don't really need to have a program.
That is my argument. Yes.
I agree with you. If your goal isn't if you're sometimes even for like personal training clients, I would kind of have actually my friend Greg just had an article on the PTDC about this. It was about how to like program for your personal training clients, and before, kind of like he was basically saying, we'll link it up, right? We can do that. We keep saying we'll link things up, and we never do.
I think it's because we always forget. By the end, it's an hour later, and it's like, what did we even talk about?
When we put it on the site, we could do like little benchmarks as to what we talked about.
We should do that.
We should do that.
Should we keep like a running tab? While
Benchmark at 3 minutes in, revelation as to how to yada yada.
Yeah,
yada.
but saying it at the 3-minute mark means nothing unless we write it down. And
yeah,
then
we'll
go
write it
back.
down at the 3 minute. We'll say,
Do you
cool dot, 3 minutes in, this happened.
I don't have paper.
That's fine. We'll go back. We'll
Okay.
review it.
Okay.
Anyways, he was talking about basically just changing the reps and the intensity week by week, which I thought was a great idea. Sometimes when I'm personal training and just working with a client, I have a good idea of what they're capable with. But what I don't have a good idea of is when they're actually gonna be missing out on a workout. So I mean, that happens. People cancel if it's not their main goal in life. That if they just want to stay active and healthy.
Well, as we talked about in other episodes, work and family come first.
Exactly. So for someone like me, that might come first, but I'm selfish. I don't have a family.
Your work is what
My
you do.
work is my work.
Yeah.
My exercise is my job.
My
But
family,
yeah,
you're your own family.
I have my own family other than my mom and dad.
But they,
my brother.
they're
doing their thing.
Yeah, they're all independent.
They're adults. But okay, so there wouldn't really be a point in talking about not programming in a programming podcast, though.
No. But
So-
just as a little caveat, ladies and gentlemen, just be aware that anytime somebody tries to tell you that there is one size fits all, it's not necessarily true. Do we agree that for athletic performance or for any competitive performance that a program is absolutely paramount? Oh, hell yeah. Otherwise, there's no way to really gauge how much better you're getting or really push the envelope. Get that new training stimulus going to get the adaptations that you need to get stronger, better, faster, whatever it may be. But for your everyday Joe Schmo, look at someone who just got over heart surgery. The number one thing that they need to do, the only thing that really they do, is they do a couple stretches just to kind of, because they have these huge scars, they just kind of need to move around a little bit and then walk. Walking. That's
But they
number
should
one.
be on a little bit of a program to progressively increase the amount of time they're walking, right?
Yes, and that's the thing. But it's as simple as just walking. That's all they have to do. Is day 1 is this. Day 2 is just a little bit further. Day 3 just a little bit further now. So
That's
it's
programming.
That's programming. Just a little bit further. That's programming in a nutshell.
You actually just said it, kind of.
Further.
Yeah. No. There's a quote that I like that can go towards programming. I think it was Ralph Waldo Emerson. I could be wrong, but he says like methods there are many, but principles there are few. So if we talked about what the principles of progressing would be, what are they? So to me, the main principle of progressing, and this is why I like flies. There's flies all over the place, and this.
We weren't going to talk about them.
But they're now.
They're annoying.
But the principles of progressing is basically doing more work than you did a certain time in the past. So if I'm looking at my favorite ways to progress, obviously the number one way is to put more weight on the bar. That's a no-brainer, but sometimes people forget about that. Are you squatting the same weight that you were squatting a year ago? Are you deadlifting the same weight that you were deadlifting a year ago? I'm probably benching the same weight that I was a year ago.
Or even 2 years ago.
Or even 2 years. Sadly, maybe. Someone should pick. I should get a bench specialization program. I was on a bench specialization program, and the last week into it, I got the stomach virus that was going around. And I lost like 8 pounds, and I made no gains, which is, if there is a higher power out there, he's saying,
no bench press
no
for
bench
you.
press for you. He happens to be Asian.
The bench press
Yeah.
Nazi.
Yeah, no bench press for you.
For our Seinfeld friends out there, you know what we're talking about. If you don't know what we're talking about,
Now you know.
catch up.
Yeah.
You're only like 15 years behind.
Losers. Okay, principles. So other than putting more weight on the bar, you can do things like increase the reps, increase the sets, and increase bar speed. And those are some like the
Or change. Sometimes even
Change.
decreasing bar speed. If you do really, really slow negatives and then those explosive up phase, because a lot of people don't use.
it's increasing work.
Yeah, it is increasing
tension
the work.
muscle.
Doing those negative phases, focusing on the negatives, even having somebody assist you on the lift, so that way you can hold
You're getting
that
used to
negative.
holding more weight too. So
I
that's good.
love how I keep doing the motions.
You're doing- no
for
one can see it.
No one can see what I'm doing.
He's lower. He's on his hands and knees, crawling around. It's weird.
In the fetal position, rocking back and forth.
He's
I don't-
crying too.
Yeah, he is. Wait, who?
You.
Me. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So, even just changing speed, not necessarily faster. Sometimes it can be slower if you're focusing on that negative phase. So all these different aspects, you put them all together, and you have everything you need, aside from motivation and determination.
Well, there's so many variables that you can change, and that's actually what you should be doing to progress, is changing some sort of variable, and speed is one of those variables that you can change. I want to backtrack again to hammer home why people need a program. I don't know if we even said it.
No.
Why do you need a program? Yeah, a program is just a systematic way for you to get from where you are to where you want to be. I used to observe a therapist, and he put it pretty elegantly, and he just said it's just reverse engineering. You figure out where you want to be. So if I want to have a 500-pound squat, and I'm currently at a 420 squat, that's an 80-pound difference. I realistically have to figure out how long is it going to take me to get to there. It could be more than a year. It could be more than, yeah, it could be 2 years for all I know.
40 pounds, especially if you're like plateaued at, what did you say, 420?
Yeah.
If 420 was, a year or two in the making, and now you want to add another 80 pounds, that even might actually be impossible, depending on you. Yeah,
I might have to go up to different body weight.
Yeah, there might be some things you need to change in order to accomplish that goal, because there are physical limitations. Yeah. So if you set a goal for, 1,000-pound squat and you're 130 pounds soaking wet, chances are
realistic goal.
Realistic is the key word there.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what the program. That's the point of a program, is to get you from where you are to where you want to be, and then you apply those principles that I was talking about, like fiddle around with the training variables. Try to do those things like increase the sets, increase the reps, increase bar speed, or change bar speed, as we were saying. So, like, what kind of programs, can somebody follow? It's my opinion that if you've never programmed before,
P90X.
P90X. I was gonna say hip hop abs. Yeah.
So close.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna say hip hop abs, guaranteed.
It'll get your arms huge.
If you've never programmed before, don't try to go make a program for yourself.
Ah, man.
Take one that's been tried and true. Like Jim Wundler's not paying me or anything because I don't know him. But
shout out.
But shout out, yeah, if you want to come on the podcast.
Yeah, no big deal.
He's not going to.
No, we're chill. It's cool. We can Skype you in.
It's good.
We'll Skype you in. No big deal.
But the 531's a great program. So what I usually do before I'm prepping for powerlifting meet, I'll do like 3-4 week blocks of 531. So if anyone's not familiar with 531, you have certain percentages that you're working off of the main lift, squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press. And so the first block, what I do is I try to set rep records for every single lift. So if I'm doing 75% of my bench press and I get 15 reps, I write down, okay, I did a low number for 15 reps. Then a month later, when I'm at that corresponding percentage, so I'm using the same weight, it's at the same percentage. I knew I got 15 reps a month ago. Now I want to get more reps than I did. So I'm shooting for 15 plus reps.
So it's almost like the NFL Combine 225 bench.
Except I'm not doing 225. But
yeah, you're doing 75% of your one RM.
Yep, so I'm doing that as many times as I can.
Okay.
And now that's like the second training block.
Now that's not your new 1 rep max? That's your old 1 rep max that you do?
Yeah, so I would take a percentage, and I would still use those same exact weights the next time around.
Okay.
Third time around, what I do is that's when I increase the weight.
Okay.
So let's say I was doing 225. Okay, that's just not even accurate. Let's say I was doing...
Let's just keep it,
yeah,
it sounds better.
Let's say I was doing 185. That's more or less. 185, I get 15 reps. Okay. Next block, so that's 4 weeks later, I'm doing 185, and I get 17 reps.
Nice.
Great.
Good job.
Yeah. Hypothetical me, good job. Which is actually messed up. I've done 185 for 17, and like if you go in like the bench calculator online, I should be like 280.
Yeah.
Nope. But then my third time around, so then it's another 4 weeks have passed, I increased the weight by like 10 pounds. So I'm doing 195. So my goal is to at least get 15.
Okay.
Usually more. So I'm going from, it took me 12 weeks, but I'm going from doing a rep max of 185 for 15 reps to doing 195 for 15 reps. So I've not necessarily set a new PR, but you can see that I've gotten stronger by increasing the reps or keeping the reps the same with a heavier weight. That's what I do for 12 weeks, and that's kind of like what I would consider like prep. Now, if you're doing this and you're not getting into a competition, keep doing that. By all means. Go back, take the 195 that you just did. You got 15 reps. Next time around, beat those reps. And then after you beat those reps, bump up the weight. You have a new thing. It's 205. You trying to kill a fly with a needle?
No, I have a pin,
Yeah.
and I want to put a pin, and I love how I do all the actions
You're
for
doing them
everything
all.
that no one will ever see, other than you. But you can appreciate it.
It's for me.
I want to put a pin in an idea, and I want to come back to this later, because you brought up something. Well, you kind of got around the idea.
Yeah.
A 1 rep max practice. Well, I want to come back to that a little bit later because there's actually somebody that I had a very in-depth conversation with about, and I think we've even talked about it before, how crucial it is. So I want to come back to that. I want you to keep going on your actual.
Yeah.
We'll go back to my tangent.
Yeah, that was a super
I'm
not
the tangent. You're on point.
I'm on point.
I'm off point. Take it away.
Okay. So let's say you are prepping for something specific. You did 12 weeks of prep, but your goal really was to increase your squat like tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you started out with a 350 squat and you want to get to 380. So that's a 30-pound jump in 16 weeks, which is something to me is realistic. So I did prep for 12 weeks. And then what I would do is I would start doing it something specialized. I would start really just focusing in on that squat, not totally neglecting everything else, but being on maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So if I did 12...
Maintain your numbers.
Yeah, so I want to maintain my bench, maintain my deadlift.
Okay.
So what we typically have done is an overreaching cycle for the squat. So what I've messed around with two things. I've messed around with a small off junior, which is where you squat 4 times a week for 3 weeks. I've done a Russian squat program where you squat 3 times a week for 6 weeks, both equally brutal.
Oh yeah, I've done the small out junior. That was
brutal.
fun.
It's fun.
Actually, believe it or not, the last day I don't know what it was, but I felt great. And
It's
after
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, the last day I felt great, and I actually did a lot more reps at the end. Actually I did because you're supposed to do the 10 sets of 3, right?
Yeah, which is awful.
Well, after the 10th set of 3, I think Corey was there actually. Corey
Russell.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you.
Whew. We were doing
Corey-
sleds today.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Was he shirtless?
No, he rolled up his
Oh.
sleeves though.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I missed it.
Yeah, he did some bicep curls with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
So jelly.
He can do bicep. No
Okay.
one else.
Corey Russell's the king of making us do tangents.
He's the king of kings.
Where were we? We're on peaking. This is
Peaking.
important.
So, anyways, Small Up Junior. Corey Russell was there, and I just felt this need to dig deep.
Spirit.
You know, spirit power. I did power up. This is no lie
You
either.
have to.
I
Blast
stood,
off.
I stood in front of the squat rack doing this until Corey looked, and he's
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm harnessing
I
your
need your
spirit."
energy.
Yes. And then I repped out. I don't even know how many. I forget what the weight was, but I repped out like 9 or 10 reps on the max weight.
Yeah.
Just because I was feeling so good that day.
Spirit bomb.
Spirit bomb, baby.
Spirit bomb.
Spirit bomb. Take it away.
Take it away. Okay, where was it? Oh, so what overreaching is basically just a planned cycle of overtraining. Okay. So what we did there is we really
Controlled chaos, so to speak.
Yeah. So what we did there is we did that, and then you take like a week off. And then after your body rests and recuperates, that's when you can really start to demonstrate those strength gains that you've made.
Oh, that's after recovery. Yeah.
Yup.
Which is one of the most underrated things people.
Let's bookmark this and make sure we talk about deloading.
Yep.
Okay. We'll do it right after this.
Sounds good.
Okay. So if you're peaking, do your prep. Then whatever you want to peak on, do that. And again, I just want to side note this. I'm really talking strictly about strength training. I've done some research on hypertrophy, but from my perspective, strength is my bag, baby. That's what I like to do. And if you're looking for hypertrophy, I actually did an article on stack.com with Brad Schoenfeld. Sorry, hard hat.
I didn't get to say it.
And we talked about hypertrophy training and what you have to do. But let's stick with
neither
strength.
here nor there.
That's what I'm talking about at Peak Performance. I'm talking about getting strong.
Yeah. This is strength programming today.
Yep. So, 12 weeks prep. 3 to 6 weeks of overreaching with a specific squat cycle. So when we did...
Or your particular weakness.
Yeah, whatever you want to work on.
Whatever you're trying to bring up.
Yep. So if I wanted to work on my deadlift, I'd specialize in my deadlift. If I wanted to work on my bench, I'd work on my bench.
Boom.
Bang. Anyway, so like the small off, it's like I said, that's 3 weeks squatting 4 times a week. I don't know if you felt this when you did this. The first week was terrible. But midway through the second week, you're using heavier weight, but you actually feel better.
Not for me. It was actually weird. At the time, my wife was pregnant, and I had very little time in the gym. So the first week, I did not warm up properly at all.
Yeah.
My hip flexors were pissed beyond belief. So the second week was actually like pulling teeth every single day. I told my wife, I was like, listen, I apologize. I'm going to be at the gym probably like 20 minutes longer because I'm actually going to use that 20 minutes to just do hip mobility, hip activation work. So the second week, I would go in every day and do tons of hip stuff. So the second week sucked because I was trying to come back from already a negative, position to get back to neutral where my hip didn't bother me. And then the third week was like, all right, I'm warmed up, I feel good, my hip flexors aren't pissed, let's crush this. So the third week was actually pretty decent. Nice. But the second week sucked. Yeah, warm up, people. That's all I can say.
Yeah, make sure you, especially if you got heavy load.
Yeah.
So that was the small off, and then by the end of it, like the last day, it was 10 sets of 3. Completely miserable. Oh my god.
10 sets is a lot.
It is a lot.
Because you get through the first like 4, and you're like, jeez, I have 6 more of these.
Yeah. It sucks.
And then you hit
like 2
6,
hours.
Then you hit like 6 or 7. Hit the set 6 or 7, and all of a sudden, or even 7 and 8. And you see this a lot in German volume training as well. I actually read an article dedicated to this phenomenon where you make certain like adaptations and you just crush it. And it's like, that was super freaking easy.
Yeah.
And then the next subsequent sets are just like, oh wait, never mind, these are even harder now.
Yeah.
But do you know what that phenomenon is called? I can't remember.
No, but I got an interlibrary loan out for neuroendocrine responses to resistance training. Can't wait.
Way to be late on that.
I know.
Bandwagon.
It's actually an old article, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's German volume training, 10 sets of 10.
10 sets of 10.
Same thing, like 6, 7, 8. You'll get this. You'll experience this adaptation where you're just gonna crush the weights. It's gonna feel like nothing. Same thing with the small on them. Days of 10 sets of 3. On the sets 6, 7, or 8, you're just gonna crush it and be like, wow, I should bump up the weight because that was too easy. And then every set after that, it's like, wait a second, this is way too hard all of a sudden. I completely ruined myself.
Yeah. After the small off, my squat went up from my previous competition. It went up by 30 pounds, which is great. And that was like a six month period. And then I did like the same routine. I did the 5-3-1 again for prep, but then for our overreaching cycle, we did the Russian squat routine, which is 6 weeks, and it went up 45 pounds.
Woo.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, the first time I had been, again, ladies and gentlemen, I felt like a child because I wasn't squatting 400 pounds. I wasn't in the club. And I'm like, I should be squatting 400 pounds. I can deadlift 555 for God's sake.
He walked around saying that to himself constantly. It was hilarious.
People heard?
Oh yeah,
I was saying that. I thought I was saying it in my head.
You thought wrong.
I was out loud.
Yep.
Yeah. So then the first time I hit 405, it was a very special moment for me.
Oh.
It was beautiful.
I remember you were crying like a baby.
I did.
Yeah, everywhere.
I blogged about it.
You did?
No. But I hit 405 in the gym, and that was great. And then in competition, I hit 425, which we talked about. That's it.
Yeah.
We just Tarantino'd it over a course of a week.
That should be the entire topic of one of these episodes. It's just you hitting 425. Oh god. You could probably talk about that for an hour.
I can talk about that for an eternity until I hit more than 425.
In which case, you'll stop talking about it and you'll start talking about it.
Oh wait, not 425. I'm sorry, 420. That was.
Oh,
correct.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to sound cooler than I am. So. But
good choice.
Good choice of words. I know. I didn't think I could do 425, so I did 420.
I like it.
I think it was a real PR. But that's that's how I approach strength training programs. We have blocks of training with a specific focus, and then we go into an overreaching cycle with the specific focus of peaking on something that I want to peak at. So
I like it.
I think that's good information for strength training. If you're into it, if you're into looking at prep stuff, look up like the Texas method, the cube method, 5-3-1.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do that for our prep.
Zach Kellogg, he does. Shout out Zach Kellogg.
He
Just
shaved
shaved
his
his
head.
head.
Jinx, knock on wood.
Oh boy.
Owe me a Coke.
Oh wait, I can't.
You can't talk until I say your name. Loser. Colin Wilson, go ahead.
Yes, thank God.
That would have been awkward if I was just talking
Yeah,
to myself.
right.
Any other time.
I dodged the bullet there. No, Zach Kellogg actually was the one who told me about the cube method. He was doing it and it was crushing him in a good way. He loved it. He's, by the way, just took second in his first ever strongman competition. Took second. Congratulations, Zach Kellogg. You're absolutely killing it.
Tip of the hat.
Tip of the hat. No wag of the finger. Pure tip of the hat.
Nice.
But I want to take this time before we get into deloading and the stuff you do after the
we want
training.
to talk about that.
I want to talk about 1 rep max practice.
Yep.
Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people forget about. They do all these rep, like, I don't want to say high rep, but
the
3s,
rep max
4s, 5s.
Yep.
But there is something to be said about 100% effort for 1 rep.
Yep, I agree.
And a lot of people don't know how to activate and prepare to give it every single ounce of energy they have for that one single rep. It's something that you need to practice.
I made a terrible mistake in my meet with my deadlift by not doing that. I was sumo deadlifting, or doing like a modified sumo.
I believe it's pronounced sumo.
No.
Sumo?
Incorrect.
Oh.
Let the jury know it's incorrect. I was doing a modified sumo. I thought, okay, I get to use my legs a little bit more. It'd be good. And I only went up to 495. I didn't go close to like a max. And I find out, I did open up with 475. It was easy. And I did 515 in the meet, and I found out, okay, I'm starting to see where the problem is here. I'm rotating to the side that my hand is supinated on. I start rotating. And I'm like, that's not good. The bar's getting away from me. I didn't know that was going to happen because I never trained max. And then when I tried 425, it happened even more, and I missed it. Exactly how you just did it that no one can see it.
No one can see it.
Rotated
That was
way.
more for me, just because I understand completely where you're coming from with that.
So I didn't practice my going close to my max, and I'm like, oh crap, that happened.
Yeah.
I did practice going towards my max for the deadlift, and I practiced going towards my max for the squat, so I had a better idea. Then of course deadlift hubris hit, not Icarus, hubris for our returning listeners.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you might be able to hit a sub-max weight 3 times, 5 times, and then you just throw on 5 or 10 pounds more depending on the lift you're doing, and all of a sudden you can't hit it. It's because you're not properly preparing your body. There's a lot of things that you do mentally, which ends up affecting you physiologically.
That's another big issue. Mental. We have to write. We need a notepad.
We do.
Deload and mental.
Yeah. That affect you during your lifts. If you're going for your 3 rep max clean and jerk, or even just clean, not even jerk, let's forget about the jerk, you're going to prepare differently than if you're going for 1 RM, just because of the fact that your bracing's going to be a little different. You're going to get every single ounce of energy you've got, every single muscle fiber. You're going to start contracting and preparing to receive the bar. Whereas if you're going for the 3 rep max, you want to be able to get all 3 of these, so you're going to save yourself a little bit. You're not going to give it 100% effort each time. If you do, chances are you might get too fatigued and you're not actually going to get through all the rep scheme, especially if you're going like 5 or 8 or something like that. So it's absolutely crucial for you in your preparations to do practice runs where you say you're doing powerlifting. You want to have a day where you do your heaviest squat.
Yep.
Then you do, well, I don't know the order. Is it squat,
Bench,
deadlift?
deadlift.
Oh, squat, bench, deadlift. Okay.
We always do a practice week like 2 weeks before too.
Mm-hmm.
We go like to like 90-95%, kind of just to see where we're at, because you don't want to put a weight on that you're not gonna get. Like your first lift should always be something you're gonna smoke.
Yeah.
As a confidence booster.
Yeah, exactly. That's so mental. So many different mental. The mental game is so huge.
But we should start talking about deload first. Let's go in order.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can just say I've talked to great Olympic lifters, and we've actually had this conversation where they can do a lift for multiple reps at a pretty impressive weight, and then you just throw 5 more pounds on, which might be extremely close to their 1 rep max, and they struggle with it. Mm-hmm. I've seen it a lot because they don't practice their 1 rep max enough. I'm not saying go in every day and try to achieve your 1 rep max, but practice those days so that way mentally you know what to do. You need to be on point. You need to, like I said, the bracing when you go into it. If you're going into a squat, if you have any flaw in your prep, it's going to be evident. That's a great indicator for you to, let's say you twist on the deadlift.
Yep.
That's great information to have prior to a competition.
Yep.
You have that in competition. Now you're like, oh crap! You're scrambling to figure out, all right, what do I have to do to correct this? If you do that 2-3 weeks before a competition, I didn't know I did that. Let's see, what can I do to fix that? It's a completely different game. You want to go into that competition ready to destroy and have no curveballs thrown your way.
Exactamundo.
And one of those things to help you prepare is a deload week.
Nice
Boom,
transition.
segue. Let's go.
So what a deload week is just a period of time where, and it's going to depend on your level of training, where you ease off on.
Some people might not even need deload weeks.
That's exactly correct.
Boom.
That is correct. So, yes, whether or not you need a deload is going to depend on, your level of training. If you're a newbie, if you're a novice or an intermediate lifter, you probably don't need to deload. And what a deload is a planned period of decreased intensity or volume. So if I'm lifting really heavy, I cut back on how heavy I'm lifting. If I'm training with a lot of volume, I cut back on how many sets and reps I'm doing. If I'm doing 4 sets, I go to 2. If I'm working at 90%, I go to 50%.
So you're still active, but you're not as intense. The intensity is drawn back a lot. You're still moving through ranges of motion. You're still using your muscles, but not necessarily to the extremes that you were prior.
Yep. And even if you're really advanced, like if you're putting 600 pounds on your back and squatting it every single week,
yeah,
NBD, then you might actually want to take a whole week off, or maybe you're just working on mobility, staying mobile, stuff like that.
Any lingering issues that you're having, like your hip flexors, flaring up, you might want to do some mobility recovery work to help, so that way when you get back at it, it's not lingering anymore. You've had a shoulder injury from high school.
It's time to recover.
It's time to recover, baby.
Yep. So that's what a deload is. So it's just very simple. It's a planned period of taking, decreasing the amount of work that you're doing. So if I trained hard for 3 weeks, if I'm kind of at a point in my training where I'm lifting really heavy, I take that 4th week off. If I'm training and I'm doing the rep max training, maybe I go for 5 weeks and then I take a week off. So I think it's all really dependent on what kind of training that you're doing.
Oh yeah. And if you are a novice lifter, I cannot stress this enough, because I always get such a kick out of it when I go to the gym and I see this, or I hear people talking about this. If you are a novice lifter and you are not destroying yourself day in and day out, you're just kind of going through the motions just to be there, to be seen, you do not need a deload week.
Don't need it.
You're not working hard enough. You're not stressing your system hard enough to require the time off to recover.
Yeah.
You're just going in there to be seen, and that's it. So don't pretend.
Or if you're not going in there, if you're actually going in there to be better,
if you're
and you're still a novice regardless, you
Yeah.
don't need that much time off. You don't need to take I mean, I hadn't even heard of a deload week when I was starting out.
Yeah,
So
same
I don't-
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
what
one of those
is
things.
that?
Once you get, now I am in no way saying that I'm an elite lifter by any means. I am far.
But you would be
far from it.
considered advanced. You've been doing it for, if we go by the advanced definition of over a year, which I completely disagree with. Then, yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ruffling some feathers.
Oh
there.
no, right?
Oh, rocking the boat.
It's DSM. Watch your back.
Boy. Oh man, we could go in an entire episode on just doing that. too. So yeah, if you're novice, chances are you don't need that long. You know, you still have rest days. Don't take. You know, I love it. There's a professional wrestler. His nickname is Mr. No Days Off, which, depending on what you're doing, you know, like if he constitutes going for a nice walk with his dog as a workout, and he has quote unquote no days off, then yeah, whatever. But if you're going balls to the wall, day in, day out, destroying yourself, you get to a point where you need a day off.
Yeah.
Like your body's just like, tapping out, I'm done.
It's a surefire way to get hurt
Oh,
if you don't take that time off and
big
you're working
time.
with a heavy volume or load.
Big time.
No bueno.
No bueno.
You know what's no bueno?
What?
Un malo mindset. That was that bad Spanish. A bad mindset. Transition.
Da, da, da.
Doodly 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 doo. Whittle 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 wah. Anyways, mindset.
We need a mini
buttons.
pad. No, we
Yeah.
need a mini pad that has like little guitar. So anytime we transition, that I'm gonna actually cut that out, put it in something someday, and store it.
Sanford
that way
and Son.
Sanford and Son.
Mindset.
Mindset. Chris
What?
Angel, mind freak.
Oh, fake, in my
Fake.
opinion. But
Well,
impressive.
probably, yeah.
Impressive. Anyways, what I have to say about mindset.
Don't be bad.
I had this talk with an athlete. We were doing rear leg elevated squats. We were testing them at the end. We had 75% of their body weight for as many reps as they can. He stopped at 5.
what was this?
A rear leg elevated squat.
Mike Boyle?
No, not Mike Boyle. But he stopped at 5 reps. And he put the weight down, and I looked at him, and I'm just like...
Was he even struggling?
No. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And I gave him a talk. I'm just like, look, there's going to be a point when you're lifting where it gets uncomfortable. Yes. That by no means is the time when you stop.
Yeah.
If everyone stopped when it started becoming uncomfortable, then they wouldn't make any progress. So I'm like, you get back on there and you do your reps until you can't do any more reps. It's not like it's like a deadlift where if they can keep doing reps with bad form. It's a rear leg elevated squat. It's taxing on the leg. It's not going to hurt you. So I feel confident saying do it until you can't do it anymore. He did 13 more reps.
What?
And
After he stopped at 5?
Yeah, and then I explained to him, like, and I said again, I'm like, there's that point. You felt that you actually felt it in your muscles when you were at 5. But when you did 13 more, when you got to 18, that's when you actually failed.
Yeah.
That's all that I asked. I would never ask someone to go to failure all the time. But there's a point where the exercise gets hard. There's a point where,
before it even gets hard, there's a point where it just gets uncomfortable. Like
Exactly,
you said.
yeah.
And a lot of that is a lot of people's quitting point. And this is a conversation I have in my group
Yeah.
exercise classes every single day. Not even just like once a week. I'm talking every day because I'll get people that'll come in, and my group exercise classes are typically body weight or low weights.
Yeah.
So we generally do higher reps because of that. And I just see people, I catch people all the time doing this. They'll look up to the front of the class where I am, and they'll look at me to see where I'm at, and they'll just kind of join in.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the class, I'm sitting here in a pool of sweat, sucking wind,
Yeah.
and they're like, all right, bye, Mr. Wilson. And they just walk out and they go hop on the treadmill.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of even being here? It's because as
Yeah.
soon as you get to that point where it's slightly uncomfortable,
Stop.
people quit. People
Yeah.
are like, oh, nope, I tap out, I'm done.
It was, I think we were doing hip bridges with the soccer team. And they were all,
your problem right there,
the soccer
team.
And they were all,
Were they all diving?
Yeah.
Just kidding, I'm
No,
a lifelong
they
soccer
did,
player.
guys were doing like 185. They're like, this is hard. And I went over there, I'm like, you guys want to see what hard is?
Wait,
And I put 500 on him.
Yeah, I was just
and I'm like, look at this. Look at this. Look at me do these reps. 500. Bang. And then they're like, well, I want to try that. I want to try like 3. I'm sorry, I'm not mocking out. They're like, okay, let's try this. And one of the guys went up to like, they're doubling their weight. And then the next day when they came in, and I just said, this is absolutely unacceptable. You guys are not going to get stronger. And I'm like, you all just doubled your weight, and it wasn't even hard. I'm like, how are you going to get stronger working at 50%?
You need that first person to show you, oh, I can.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say it. Mike Boyle in that DVD that
you said it. No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't hate Mike Boyle.
No, I don't either. But no, he had, what was it? He had one of the hockey players, the first couple guys.
Once they see it,
once they saw somebody else go ham on an exercise, they're like, oh wow, my numbers were awful. All right, let me do it again. Do it again. I can attest to that. I did a CrossFit competition 2 years ago, and one of the things was a sled push, and I forget the distance, but you had to do it in 10 seconds. So you had to push the sled as fast as you could, get it across the finish line before 10 seconds went up. So I basically, there was a couple groups before me, a couple bigger guys than me. I'm 5'5". I'm not a huge dude, so when I see these bigger, stronger, more muscular dudes than me struggling with weights, I'm like, okay, I probably can't do that. So I'm gonna be conservative and play it safe. So I played it pretty safe, and in that event, I actually ended up placing third. Well, after the event was over, one of the guys failed at, I think it was like 550 or something like that.
For sled push?
For sled push, yeah. So he couldn't do the distance. Maybe like 15, 20 yards or something.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how far it was. It seemed sizable. So I was like, all right, leave that weight down. I want to see if I can do it. So sure as hell, after I had already done all my heats, this was one of the last events of the whole competition, I smoked it. I was like, oh,
wait.
I should have tried it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, and no one, these guys aren't doing it.
Yeah.
They're bigger than me. How am I supposed to do it? So I was just, mentality. My mental game was, if they can't do it, I can't. So I'm not even gonna try, because then I'm gonna fail and embarrass myself. Woe is me. But yeah, after the fact, I crushed it. I did it in under the 10 seconds, and I was just like, wow, that was really easy. I should have done. I would have won the event at that weight.
Well, you can have the most scientifically sound program in the world, but if you don't have the mindset of, I want to get better, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You could have the worst program in the world, but if you have the mindset of, I want to get better, then you're going to get better.
Look at people who do P90X.
Yeah.
They get to the point where they're so desperate. And some people aren't. Some people aren't that desperate. But some people are extremely desperate. And they're like, all right, I just need somebody to follow along. But they're so motivated, or they've had some event in their life, they had a heart attack, whatever it may be. They're like, crap. Oh, yeah. But they had some event that was just like, crap, I need to get my act together. And they're going to do their P90X, their, what was it? Hip-hop abs. They're going to do it 110% every single video or DVD or whatever. And they're going to get way better results than the person who is already decently in shape, but is doing hip-hop abs just because...
You do the same thing you've always done, you'll get the same results you always get.
Boom.
I got like another thing that kind of like gets my goat.
Yeah.
Program flopping.
Ooh, yeah. You give up on it before you even give it a chance.
Yeah, if you have a program and God forbid you don't see results in 4 weeks, you
need it now.
You don't hop onto a new program. No matter what it is, see it through till the end. If you have a 16-week program that's systematic, where if you just look at a program and it just has exercises and it doesn't show you a way of progressing, then okay, it's probably not. It might have the best exercises ever, but if you're not progressing or showing a way to progress, it's not good. But if it does have all those good components of a program, and you go through 4 weeks and you're like, I'm not seeing the results I want to see, I'm going to try this new 22-inch bicep program. But you have to see it through. If it's 16 weeks, do all 16 weeks.
Yep.
Don't try something new. Try something new at the end of the program.
Mm-hmm. After you're done.
Yeah.
That's one thing people give up too soon. We live in a culture now that wants immediate results, immediate, instant gratification. Texting, you text somebody, you expect a text right back.
Do you ever see that stand-up from Aziz Ansar?
I've seen a lot of them, but what one is?
He's like, I text her, she texts me. I text her, she texts me.
Is that a
I
newer
text her, she texts me. I'm like, hey, you want to go get a pizza? No text message back. Oh, sorry, I was at my cousin's ballet recital. Well, guess what? I just had pizza with Brian. Guess who's not invited to the pizza party anymore?
But yeah, we want instant. No, don't be sorry at all. We live in a culture and a society today that wants instant gratification. So if it takes 16 weeks, most people are going to look at 16 weeks and say, yeah, screw that right off the get-go.
Yeah.
They're going to look more like a Smolov Jr.
Oh, I hope they don't if they're a rookie.
Well, yeah, but they're going to look at 3 weeks and look at 16 weeks and be like, oh, I'm going to do the 3-week one. 21 days to be like Jack? Hell yeah, that's what I want to do.
300 workout.
And then they're going to do 1 day of Smolov and say, F this.
Hope they've never even heard of it.
No, that's true, too. But yeah, just stick to it. See it through to the end, because a lot of problems come from people like diets. Same thing.
Yep.
People,
that's why diets don't work. It's got to be a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle change.
Do every day.
Yeah.
But like for me, for instance, I've been training for 8 years. I'm not like, this isn't the end. This isn't even a quarter into what I want. Like, I want to be 40 years old, and I want to still have weight training goals. I want to be to the point where, okay, yeah, I got like a 600 plus deadlift. I got a 500 plus squat. I finally have hit my 3. Yeah. I think when I'm 35, my old man strength will kick in, and I'll definitely get that bench press, or my shoulders will explode.
Yeah, one or the other.
But then I'll be at like that 300. But for me, it won't be the end. Mm-hmm. I'll always have a goal. If it's not to get stronger, maybe I want to get leaner.
Yeah.
It's just something that,
Maybe it's increased mobility. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always so many different variables that you can do for goal setting. But ladies and gentlemen, I hate to cut us short. Although I don't think this is short. I think this may be one of our longest podcasts ever.
Maybe.
Because we have just rambled and rambled and rambled. But listen, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have any comments, anything you don't agree with, we want to hear it. So please check out our website, www.bloodandiron315.com. Justin's and my contact information is on there. Please shoot us an email, leave a comment below, whatever you got to do to get a hold of us, to let us know what you think. We really appreciate it. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be, we want to hear it. So with that being said, thank you so much for checking us out. This is episode 6 of the IronCast podcast. As always, I am Colin Wilson, your host, and along with Justin Kampf. Keep an eye out for justinkampf.com.
Jinx again.
Oh, guess who just made that website?
Colin.
This guy.
If you're interested in a personal website, please contact Colin. He will make you one for a nominal fee.
No big deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I hope you're able to take something out of this. If you haven't, like I said, if you have specific questions, please email us. We'd be happy to answer your questions. So take care and have a great night.
Thank you.
Peace.
Deuces.